So it's like rationally, there's a conflict and you realize, okay, maybe it is a self-limiting belief, this one.
When you build a business, are going to face challenges, Lewis. So on a day-to-day basis, how do you deal with challenges and problem solving when you're running and growing your e-commerce businesses?
Yeah, well, I think challenges are just part of business and life in general, aren't they? Challenges will always come up, but I think the difference is it's how you handle them that defines your success or failure with business and life in general. And there's a framework that I have that helps with managing challenges and how to overcome them. First thing is try and stay calm and break down the problem. I always approach challenges by trying to figure out what are break down the problem into the small component parts. It's like if you, I don't know, to put it into an everyday life example, you go into your kitchen and there's water all over the kitchen floor and you realize like the tap's leaking, the sink's overflowing. You don't just focus on the water everywhere. You kind of break it down and you're like, where's the water coming from? Oh, look, it's dripping off the side. What's happening? Okay. Oh, the tap. Right. I need to turn off the source of the water. You kind of hone in and identify the problem. That's the 30,000-foot emotional detachment view of the broken tap analogy. You walk in, you don't get overwhelmed by the symptom of the problem, puddles all over the floor. Instead, you focus on where's the cause, where's the source, and what do I need to do immediately to leverage it and change it. What's the lever? And it's probably a physical, usually a blue lever, isn't it, attached to a pipe called your water stop. So that's definitely something I try and do in terms of business, try and figure out the source, break it down, figure out what are the rational steps I can take to get towards the desired outcome. It's not always that easy as switching off a tap, but sometimes if I need advice, I'll lean on my team. I'll get perspectives from my team. I'll ask them for their advice, their input, and sometimes they won't have it because, sometimes it will be something that is out of their remit. It's a problem we haven't encountered as a business before. And so I have a lot of experts in a lot of different fields in my phone book on my phone. I keep very close contact with a lot of people who are specialist areas in areas of expertise that I'm not, so that I can pick up the phone, pick their brains and skip years of trying to, learn that area myself to figure things out. It's a bit like if there was a problem with the tap and I can't turn it off, I'm not going to be like, let me go and study plumbing for 3 years and figure out if I can figure it. You just call the plumber, don't you? You just immediately call the specialist and you skip that the damage that's going to cause, the problems, the time, the pain, the frustration, and you just go straight to the source and they come around, they fix it. Like one of the things I find beneficial with challenges and the constant onslaught of challenges you will face as an entrepreneur is, firstly, you're going to face challenges anyway in any area of life. If you stay in a 9-to-5 job that you hate and you hate your boss and you hate all the colleagues and you're just so done with it, the challenge is going to be like, how do I get myself out of bed to go to that job that I don't want to do, to stand outside in the cold, to cram myself into a commuter train or get stuck in traffic again to go and do something that I can't see as my future. And that to me is a worse challenge to have to constantly overcome than like, oh, why did my profitability dip by 5% this month in my business? Or I wonder why, this conversion rate of this product dipped or whatever. Like those are things that I can jump in, control, tweak, change. They're like micro problems in an environment that I know I'm working towards something I want to be taking on as a challenge. So I try and view every challenge as a learning opportunity. As I mentioned, often the challenges will stop appearing new because you'll see the patterns. And after a while, once you've solved pretty much all of the challenges you face a few times over, you start to see the same problems reappear, just in different outfits. But when they do, it's so much less overwhelming because you know the drill, or you at least know the person to ask. I'm like, oh, the last time this happened, I went to so-and-so for advice. They're really good, like a mastermind group. I'll put the question out there to them and get their feedback from trusted peers who are running similar kinds of businesses that are, also experts in different areas to what I'm an expert in. So I think that's one of the secrets really, is accepting challenges will come, viewing them as learning opportunities and not being afraid to ask for help when you need it.
Yeah, I think it's all about staying level-headed in business and learning from each experience that you go through day to day, being able to take a step back approach. And yeah, I mean, these challenges are much better to face rather than the day-to-day challenges where when I was in my 9 to 5 job, I was viewing those challenges as very short term. You know, I was having to deal with a challenge and it would come back around again. And I didn't see that end point of what I was working towards. Whereas when you come across a challenge for your own business, it's your own business and you're overcoming that challenge more so for yourself and for your future benefit. And it's a very different way of approaching a challenge, knowing that when you overcome that challenge, it's for your own future, rather than just spinning the wheel every few days. And you can overcome a lot of challenges by putting processes in place, putting strategies in place that mean you overcome it once and you never have to do it again, because it can be automated or outsourced, completed by a virtual assistant in the future. So what about delegating tasks, Lewis? I know that's a big part of your day-to-day to make sure that you can still continue to focus on the most important tasks. You've obviously got a team to support you on that. How do you make sure that you delegate certain tasks to make sure that things go smoothly?
Yeah, this is one of the big blockers that I see for our members that are getting initial traction. Maybe they hit their first 50, £100,000 in sales with their store, and I can see the thing that's capping them from getting beyond that. And it's the inability to relinquish control and delegate. They're stuck in the mindset of, I want the job done to 100% effectiveness because that's what I would do as the business owner. And it's a really limiting place to be, because I totally understand that, but it's just, is that realistic? Are you going to, if you're an employee in a job, are you going to do that job to the same standard and level of care as the person who owns the company? Probably not, but there are ways of improving that and incentivizing that right kind of buy-in and behavior. And it often does come down to working and hiring with the right people who are genuine experts in their respective areas, and choosing the right specialists for your team. You want to make sure that, for example, I try and set very clear expectations for every task to my team, and make sure everyone knows their role, make sure that they have autonomy to make decisions. I'm not saying like, go and do this, but consult me every time you need to make a decision about it. Instead, I give them ownership of the outcome. So I'm like, this is where we need to get to. This is what we need. I trust you to help us find a path there because you're trained in this. You're an expert in this. Like, you can, of course, consult me if you want to, but I'm giving you ownership of the outcome. So if you go and do it and make no decisions, and then we don't get the outcome and it's a flop, don't come to me saying that you're waiting for permission, because I'm giving you permission, right? That's a very different conversation to like, go and do this, but if you get it wrong, like you better have asked me along the way for permission at certain stages. So it's kind of difficult to explain. You almost have to live it. You have to experience it and realize that, it's very easy as a business owner to almost underestimate the ability of other humans, because you kind of feel like it's all locked up in your head, and the only way this knowledge could be implemented, or like the only, the way you talk to customers is just different because it's your own business and you feel it. And that might be true, but by saying that, you're basically saying no customer service department in any company can exist unless it's the owner talking to them, which is false. So it's like, rationally, there's a conflict, and you realize, okay, maybe it is a self-limiting belief, this one. So I think making sure that, you're giving people ownership of outcome. Also, just like hiring a good culture fit for your business. You can train team members who are the right culture fit and show the right attributes, and buy into your company's vision and mission, and like they buy into you as a business owner. You can train them on the specifics. I've brought many people into my team who didn't come in on day one as experts in the field that I hired them to be in, but I knew that I was good enough to bring them up to speed, help them grow, and then continue to develop them, pay for training courses, things that can help them grow to a different level. Sometimes you do need specialist skills though. And I think that's almost the second plateau that I see members get to. It's like where they've brought everyone in and they've tried to kind of rise them up to the level that they can get them to, but then again, they're capped. And a great example of this is like with ads, for example. I know how to run ads, I know how to scale ads, I know how to do things, but when you get to the point of running as many ads as we do, it becomes a full-time media buying job. Like, that is someone's full-time job, to be in there split testing different landing pages, testing hooks, testing different angles. And like, yes, I could probably do it if I set my entire like 12-hour-a-day schedule to just doing that. But is that the 30,000 foot view, or have I got lost in the weeds by doing that? Instead, what if I bring in a world-class media buyer, someone who's so effective at running ads, who can work on that stuff for us, and I can relinquish control. If they're that much of a specialist, the job will probably get done to 200% of what I could have done it, not just to 80%, because that person came in with skills I never had in the first place. So I think that's the second almost plateau that people get to. And we see these happen. And sometimes it's difficult to read your own label on the jar when it's you in that position. And that's why, it's helpful to have external sources like us in the Dropship Unlocked community to kind of point that out and ask that question and say, do you think it might be the case that you're worried about relinquishing control? Or do you think you might have hit your skill limit in terms of what your team can do here? Do you want to bring in some external help? If so, we've got a black book of specialists and experts in all different areas we can point you to, put you in touch with, help you.